Hello there, Stevos! Welcome back to another episode of Steve's movie wrap-up right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. It's been a couple of weeks since I last watched any movies, to be honest, and this past week I've decided to go back to the cinema and go and catch up on some of the summer blockbusters that are out in cinemas. Before I do dive into any of the movies that I've watched this past week, though, I just first of all want to say hello to any of the new viewers, new subscribers that are watching this channel right now. My name is Steve, and if you are not yet following me on social media platforms, feel free to give me a follow over on Twitter/X. Username over there is @CinemaSteveTV. You can also give me a follow over on Instagram and Threads. The username for that is SteveOfficial if you would like to give me a follow over on Instagram/Threads as well. And of course you can listen to me on a weekly basis on a Friday, 6 PM UK time, over on Spotify Music and Apple Podcasts by searching for Steve's Weekly Podcast as well. If you're into movies, if you're into tech, if you're into Marvel, DC, etc., then that podcast is definitely something worth listening to for sure. So do go ahead and check me out on Spotify Music and Apple Podcasts, and feel free to subscribe to the podcast as well so that you guys get notified as and when I drop a brand new episode of the weekly podcast. Like I said, weekly podcast episodes comes out every Friday, 6 PM UK time. Sometimes there will be bonus episodes as well, depending if there's an event happening. For example, the Apple event, the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event, etc, etc. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw my social media stuff out there. So without further ado, guys, let's see what movies I've watched this week, starting with The End of Oak Street. The End of Oak Street is the first movie I have watched this week at the cinema. Like I said at the beginning of this video, these films that I've watched, I've only watched 3 films this week, but it was worthy enough of me to do an episode of the movie wrap-up to discuss. But obviously the movies I have watched are at the cinema, and they are some of the latest summer blockbusters to be released in cinemas at the time of recording this video. And the first one I watched was The End of Oak Street. Now, this does star Anne Hathaway. Now, I'll be honest with you, earlier this year we got a teaser trailer for The End of Oak Street, and it didn't really give too much away in terms of what the story was about. It kind of just teased the audience that this was basically a street and something abnormal happens on that street, but they didn't really give away what. And then obviously they then released the official trailer behind this film as well, and then that was kind of when it gave away what the story was about. It was basically about a street that ends up going back in time through this anomaly, I guess you could call it, and they end up going back to the prehistoric era, and they're dealing with dinosaurs running amok on their street. Now, you can kind of think of this as Jurassic Park, or kind of another version of Jurassic World. I mean, to be quite honest with you, over the last couple of years we've had some really bad Jurassic World films. I'm not gonna lie, I think Rebirth and Dominion were pretty bad in terms of Jurassic World films. But I tell you what, if this was called Jurassic World, had the same cast, the same story, and maybe even the same director, then I would probably say that this is probably the better version of Jurassic World than the second Jurassic World film that came out a few years ago. It was before Rebirth and Dominion as well, so I can't remember the name of that one. But this one would have been, honestly, if this was called Jurassic World, this would have been a lot better than the previous 2 films. But this isn't called Jurassic World, this is called The End of Oak Street. I do believe that this could also be based on a novel as well, and like many other novels that movie adaptations are based on. Of course, if this is based on a novel at least, then I'm gonna say it, I've never read the novel if this is based on a novel. But That being said, though, I must say, and I do appreciate Anne Hathaway starring in this film, because she's absolutely exceptional in this film. Her performance in this, and she is kind of like the leading role in this. She's kind of like the leading star in this film as well. And I must say, she absolutely smashed it out of the park, you know. There is quite a lot of seriousness added to the film, but at the same time, there is also some light, humorous moments in here as well. I mean, it's just unfortunate that, you know, some of the posters, even the official trailers now, if you've seen the official trailer behind this film, it's just unfortunate it kind of gave away what the story was. Because if the trailers and the poster hadn't given away what the story really was about, and it kind of left you, the viewers, intrigued to know what happens at the end of Oak Street, then I think this probably would have been a much more better film, because it would have taken the audience by surprise. But then again, if it's based on a novel and you already know what happens in the book, then of course you're going to know what happens in the film, and you're going to know that this story is based on prehistoric dinosaurs. I mean, dinosaur design-wise, I must admit, I think the dinosaur designs were pretty cool and pretty awesome as well. There was even like this snake-like dinosaur. It was so bizarre, but it was really cool. I loved the design of that one as well. As for whether I would rewatch and revisit the End of Oak Street again, I definitely would, for sure, because I do think it was somewhat of a fun film. And I definitely could see me purchasing this film to buy and keep on digital platforms later this year when it does hit digital. As for would I recommend watching this film, I definitely would say so, yes. I mean, I will admit there is some explicit language in this film, a few swear words here and there, so if you are planning to take your kids, then just a little heads up on that for that matter. But in terms of like a somewhat family-friendly film, I mean, I think this is good. I think this is decent, you know. And also as well, it's not set in modern day era either. It's actually set in the 80s. That's before it goes into that prehistoric era, of course. So it's kind of set in the 80s. So it kind of gives off, like, even the kids in this film kind of give off those Stranger Things kind of vibes. You know, like, you've got these kids, they're hanging out with each other, similar to like a TV series like Stranger Things, for example, before all of this weirdness happens. The only thing that I would say I would change about the End of Oak Street in terms of the film is just make it a little bit longer and just kind of develop the family a little bit more. I get and I appreciate the fact that we kind of see their dynamic, their dysfunctions throughout the running time of the film. I get it and I appreciate it for that. But in terms of like the family dynamic and the family relationship and just the development of the family, the main family in this film, I would have probably have just fleshed out that running time just a little bit longer. Maybe by 15-20 minutes we spent a little bit more time with the family before we then get into the prehistoric stuff. That's the only thing though for me personally that I would change about this film. But aside from that though, it's a very decent flick. If you are yet to catch this at the cinema, I definitely would highly recommend. But for now though, The End of Oak Street is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. The Odyssey. Next up is The Odyssey, which was directed by Christopher Nolan. Now, this is one of those films that has been very popular at the worldwide box office. It's done good numbers. I think it's already passed over $1 billion at the box office. So it joins the likes of Toy Story 5, Super Mario Galaxy Movie, Michael, and a couple of other, and probably Spider-Man Brand New Day is up there as well. But it's joined those list of films to be in the 1 billion club for 2026 when it comes to worldwide films at the box office. And, you know, honestly, it's done really, really well at the box office, you know, and of course this is based on a poem that is over 3,000 years old. It is also based on Greek mythology as well, and I'm going to be honest here, it does have a very stacked out cast as well. When you think you've got Tom Holland, Zendaya, Matt Damon, you've also got Anne Hathaway as well, which is very bizarre because I literally watched this film straight after watching The End of Oak Street, which again starred Anne Hathaway in. Mia Goth stars in this, and it also stars Robert Pattinson as well. And there's a few other cast members as well. John Bernthal is another cast member that's in this film. There's probably a few others that I may have missed on this list, but safe to say that similar to when Christopher Nolan did Oppenheimer back in 2023, you know, this is, I mean, he had a stacked cast member list in that film, and it's no different in this. He's got a stacked cast member list with the Odyssey as well. Now, Matt Damon is the star lead in the Odyssey. He plays Odysseus, I think his name is. I mean, forgive me if I am pronouncing the names wrong, but Tom Holland plays Odysseus' son, and Anne Hathaway plays Tom Holland's mother, and Matt Damon's wife, Odysseus' wife, in this film. I mean, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. Look, I'm going to be honest, okay? I mean, when I did do my review of this over on Letterboxd, I gave this film 3 stars on Letterboxd, and when I saw the curve on Letterboxd to see how many people enjoyed this film, loads of people were either giving this a 4.5 star or a 5 star rating. So for me, I gave this 3 stars. Now that might seem rather controversial for quite a lot of people, but look, when Oppenheimer came out in 2023, I saw that on opening day at the cinema. It came out the same day as Barbie did, and of course, both films came out on the same day, and that was classed as Barbenheimer. So it kind of felt right to go and see Oppenheimer and Barbie on the same day as part of Barbenheimer. But in terms of the Odyssey, though, I mean, I've been putting this film off, and it's been out for over a month now, and it is still showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide right now. And I've been putting it off for a month because I think there's just been that part of me that's not really been too interested in it. Like, I'm not really a fan of Greek mythology. I'm not really a fan of, like, poems, or like even poems that was released like over 3,000 years ago or anything like that, you know. And I don't know, I mean, look, I will give some criticism about this film, okay, because obviously this is what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the film, my experience of the film. The cast members in this were absolutely great, okay, and some of the cinematography and some of the scenes, some of the scenery in this was absolutely brilliant as well, okay. Don't get me wrong, some of that stuff was absolutely brilliant, and my hat does go off to Christopher Nolan because he is a phenomenal, fantastic director, you know, and he knows how to direct films really well. There was also some scenes in this, don't get me wrong, that were absolutely terrifying. And honestly, I would not be mad if one day Christopher Nolan reveals that he's working on a horror movie and he ends up releasing that horror movie. Because there was some horror movie-esque elements to the film as well, you know, and I enjoyed them, don't get me wrong. But there is just some bits and pieces in here that, I don't know, for me, I just wasn't interested, I just weren't invested. I think there was moments where my brain was switched on because there was certain scenes happening on screen that kind of got me interested in the film. But then, for the most part of it, I mean, my brain just switched off, you know? And it's just one of those films that I appreciate. I enjoyed watching it at the cinema, just like I did with 2023's Oppenheimer. And there's been a lot of other, I mean, there was a lot of films by Christopher Nolan that I didn't see before 2023, which I did end up going back and watching before 2023's Oppenheimer released in cinemas. because I kind of wanted to see what other work Christopher Nolan had did in the past, like Interstellar, Inception, Memento, etc., etc., you know. So he's done a lot of those films, and of course I have seen them. I've only seen them the once. I appreciate the films. I appreciate the work that he has done in those films. And it's the same with Oppenheimer. I saw Oppenheimer once in the cinema. I never went back and rewatched it again. I think it is on streaming somewhere in the UK. But again, I just have no desire to go back and rewatch it again, you know. But I still appreciate that film for what it's worth. And I do appreciate The Odyssey for what it's worth. The work, the hard work that went into making this film possible, you know. And of course, the performances in this are great as well, you know. But for me, for someone that's not into Greek mythology, for someone that's not really into, like, those sort of things, you know, like, I just thought that this film was okay. I'm glad that this film is doing really well at the box office, you know. I think this might actually appear to be Christopher Nolan's highest grossing film ever at the worldwide box office, and I'm really proud that he has got that far in his career, you know. And of course, I hope and pray that he doesn't slow down, he does more amazing films, you know. And of course I will go and experience those in the cinema. I think after watching Oppenheimer back in 2023, I think that kind of gave me a taste of Christopher Nolan loves to make cinematic films that deserve to be watched on the big screen. And of course, you know, I think regardless, I was going to watch The Odyssey, but it was just, I just had to be in that mindset, you know, especially given the fact that this is nearly a 3-hour long film as well. And I'm feeling like I'm someone now who's starting to get really tired or gets really agitated when he sat in a cinema seat for over 2.5 hours. So, you know, for this to be nearly 3 hours, I mean, yeah, I don't know. And I mean, to be honest, towards the end of the film, I was kind of checking my watch because the next film that I'm going to talk to you guys about next was starting, and I was a little bit worried that I was going to miss the first few minutes of it and stuff. So yeah, so anyway, but would I recommend watching The Odyssey again? I mean, well, would I recommend watching The Odyssey? I would, if you're into Greek mythology or if you're into your poems, then definitely give this one a watch. As for whether I would rewatch this film again, I don't think I will personally. I do think it's great. I think it's wonderful. You know, it is a cinematic masterpiece for sure that deserves to be watched on the big screen. But in terms of watching it again, I can't see me going back and revisiting this again. But I still appreciate this film for what it is worth, okay? That might seem rather controversial for me to say, but that's just my honest opinion. You know, that is my honest opinion on this. But yeah, honestly, but for now though, The Odyssey is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. Coyote vs Acme. And then we come on to the final film of this week that I watched at the cinema. Which, by the way, can I just say that all 3 of these films that I reviewed, I actually went to the cinema and watched all in one day. So you're welcome. But the next film that I did see, the final film I watched this week, is Coyote vs Acme. Now, I've got to talk about this. Because this is similar to Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up. Similar to that, that film nearly got canned by Warner Brothers. It came out in US cinemas last year. It came out in UK cinemas earlier this year. If you live in the UK, it is now streaming on Now TV, or you can go and buy and rent it on digital platforms. It might even be out on DVD for those that collect physical media as well. But The Day the Earth Blew Up, I thought was decent, you know, and I did do a review of it on my movie wrap-up earlier this year, and honestly, I thought it was decent enough at least. I think I remember me saying that if I was to go back and rewatch it again, I'd probably just have it on in the background as just background noise. But I think out of the two, though, The Day the Earth Blew Up and Coyote vs. Acme, I would say that Coyote vs. Acme is the much better Looney Tunes film out of the two. It's funny, it's charming, it's witty, it's brilliant. You know, there's a lot of slapstick comedy in there, thrown in there. It's Looney Tunes, and if you grew up watching the Looney Tunes cartoons like I did, then you'll just know how slapstick the comedy is going to be. It's Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, you know? So basically, if you know, you know, and I hate using that because I hear a lot of content creators using that phrase a lot lately, and it kind of gives me the ick. But if you've seen the original Looney Tunes cartoons, then you will know that Coyote has always been out to get Roadrunner. Now, I will say this actually, Coyote never talks, right? I actually saw a clip before this film came out of an old cartoon where we see Coyote and he's about to speak, but his father grabs him by the mouth and like basically manages to snap his mouth shut, and he basically tells Coyote he's never allowed to talk until he has finally caught Roadrunner. I'm kind of like, now I finally understand why Coyote never talks, and that's so heartbreaking. To be honest, very, very heartbreaking. But anyway, of course, it's been years and years and years since Coyote has tried to catch Roadrunner, his arch nemesis, and he's tried and failed. He's used a lot of products by the company Acme, like explosive devices to try and catch Roadrunner. He's tried to use parachutes to try and catch Roadrunner. Every single trap that you can think of, Coyote has tried to use on Roadrunner, and it has always failed. Well, Coyote has finally had enough of the fact that all of his traps backfire on him every time he tries to catch Roadrunner, and he ends up going to court and suing the company Acme for all of the devices that he's had in the past that have backfired, including some roller skates which we see in the film itself. And I must say that John Cena and Will Forte all star in this film as well, and I've got to say it is brilliant. It is funny. There are some cameos in this as well. Porky Pig turns up, Daffy Duck turns up, Bugs Bunny turns up as well, Tweety Bird turns up, Sylvester the Cat turns up in this film as well. There's a lot of Looney Tunes characters from the past that do turn up in this film, and I appreciate that as well. Again, it gives me so much nostalgia for when I was a kid and I was growing up watching the Looney Tunes cartoons and stuff, you know, and I love this film. I really, really do love this film. You know, it is an hour and a half. I am so mad, in a way, that Warner Brothers, they were going to shelve this. They were going to do a tax write-off on this film, which meant that if they had tax written this film off completely, this film would have never seen the light of day. It never would have done, and we would have never experienced it in the cinema. We would have never experienced it on digital platforms. Nothing. We wouldn't have seen this film. But thankfully, an independent movie studio in the form of Ketchup Entertainment saved this film from being a tax write-off, and they released it themselves. So thank you to Ketchup Entertainment for releasing this film in cinemas. I've wanted to see this film since it first got announced. I love the idea of the premise behind this film, which I've already talked about in this part of the video, and you know, I think it's really well executed in the film itself as well. I mean, I think this is an ideal watch for family, especially given the fact that we are coming to the end of the summer holidays, the school holidays. I definitely would say highly recommend checking this one out in cinemas if you are trying to find something to do with the children over the next week or so before they do go back to school and parents go back to work. But would I rewatch Coyote vs. Acme again? I definitely would, for sure. And I definitely could see me buying and keeping Coyote vs. Acme on digital platforms later this year when it does release on digital platforms. Coyote vs. Acme is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. And that is it for this week's episode of the movie wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section down below and let me know what movies you guys have been watching over the last week or even for the last couple of weeks, given the fact that I've not done a movie wrap-up for the last couple of weeks. And let me know what films you guys have watched, whether it's old, new, in cinemas, in theatres, on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K Ultra, streaming services, or even on VHS if you are going old school and going VHS these days. And of course, if you are new around here and you love what you've watched and you love what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button and of course tap that notification bell as well so that you guys get notified as and when I upload a new YouTube video to my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. And of course, don't forget to hype this video up as well. I really do appreciate it if you guys hyped this channel and this video up. It just gets me out there a little bit more and gets me more people watching these videos, which I really would appreciate as well. Now, there is no Lens on Life episodes coming for the next couple of months. Last Monday was episode 13. It was my 13th final episode of series 1 of Lens on Life. Like I've mentioned already, Lens on Life will be back Monday 26th of October 2026, 6 PM UK time, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial, and it will be back with a feature length episode to kick off the brand new series, and stuff that I've got lined up in that episode I'm already hyping about already. I'm looking forward to getting out there and filming and stuff. But there is going to be a YouTube video coming out tomorrow, Monday 24th of August 2026 at 6 PM UK time. I am going to be here talking to you guys about what you guys can expect over the course of the next several weeks on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial, between now right through until the end of October, okay? I'm currently filming a lot of those videos right now, to be honest, so I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to get a lot of them videos uploaded, scheduled, ready for when they do release, okay? But anyway, guys, from me for now, thank you for watching, and until next time, it's goodbye, and I shall speak to you guys again in my next YouTube video.